What's up, everybody? I'm AJ, and today we're going to do another reaction to more of this reckless Ben case with America's attorney.
That's another charge, obviously. I mean, we'll stack him until he leaves you guys alone.
Stack
I guess.
'em up.
I mean, or they put him in jail. One or the other.
That is not my characterization. That's not a defense attorney spinning a tape. That's a police officer being recorded by his own equipment describing the plan out loud. Because
And what happens to this police officer? What happens to him when they just stack charges and with the judge just throws it out and then they're allowed to keep doing it? Is that the system working?
here's what had already happened. Ben was arrested. Ben posted a bond. A judge, I'm talking about an actual judge applying actual law, ordered Ben released. The system worked exactly the way the system is supposed to work. Within hours, the conversation on this footage is not, did we arrest the right guy? It's not, what does the evidence actually show? It's, how do we get him back in a cell? I'm America's
Lock
attorney.
it
I've been a lawyer
up.
for over 25 years. I've helped over 12 million people in my class action practice. And I want to be precise with you today because this video is not a close call. This footage is not an investigation. If you're enjoying this video, hit subscribe. You know, it's free. It keeps you up to date on all the legal chaos, and it gives YouTube one more piece of evidence that your judgment is at least slightly better than the people in these body cams. Besides, when you hit subscribe, that's one just easy way of saying, hey, I kind of hate.
I'll say this, America's attorney, you did a pretty nice job on this green screen, especially for having a whole nother profession. I'm pretty sure you're not a professional videographer or a professional lighting specialist. So I think you did a pretty good job on this green screen.
Cops.
So give him a sub for the green screen.
The body cam picks up with Ammon on the phone to police, and his opening question is essentially, hey, why is Ben not in jail? There is a correct answer to that question. It's 9 words long. It's a judge released them. That decision is not ours. That's it. A release order is not a customer complaint. It's not a coupon you can ask a manager to override. If the state believed that Ben should have stayed in custody, the state had a forum for that argument, a courtroom. And the state made that argument, and the state lost. That's not a malfunction. That's the way the system is designed. So watch what the officers do with that 9-word answer. They don't give it. Instead, the conversation opens up.
That would be a complaint that would have to.
Well, if you've seen any of the other things that's going on in American Fork, you'll know that they don't really care how things are supposed to go. They'll pull up to your house. They'll do. I mean, with this whole case, they cut down people's signs. They've done all types of things already. Arrested people they didn't know who they were. Took them downtown to the police station to check them out. These guys are just it's the cowboy city out there. You look like never mind. Oh, John Wayne stuff going on out there.
Directed towards their office to find out what's the deal. Why would you let this guy out when he's stalking us? Right. That's
Yeah. So yeah, really quick. Sorry, let me grab a pen. Who do I contact for that?
I suggest you put all evidence that you have against this guy on that.
This does not sound like officers taking a complaint from a witness. It sounds like a vendor meeting. Ammon has the desired outcome.
Or a coaching session. Man, he was giving him all the sauce.
Are helping him route around the obstacle, and the obstacle in this scenario is like a judge or justice or really the entire American legal system. Em didn't call the police that morning. He called customer service.
Right.
Customer service picked up, and then the tape stops being about anything Ben allegedly did and becomes a conversation about who Ben supposedly is. And the allegations come in waves.
He was arrested in California for doing this kind of trespassing and kind of stuff. Even though he's an out-of-state, like flight risk, he's also been
Flight
passing
risk.
fraudulent gift certificates to financially harmed.
Now he fraud. Now he's scamming. He harassing. He's scamming. They acting like your boy. He must be a brother.
If I need to go and get some of my staff armed so that he can't threaten them,
they started threatening to kill some of the staff. Honest to goodness, he's a sociopath.
That's a lot of very serious claims delivered very quickly by a person with an obvious and enormous interest in the outcome. So here's the thing that I was listening for, not skepticism, not hostility, just one question. 4 words like, how do you know? I didn't hear it, not once. No, let's pull his record and verify that. No, who witnessed the threat? No, when did he say that and to whom? And do you have it in writing? Nothing. And nobody notices that the pile of accusations doesn't even agree with itself. Amber describes a calculating sociopath who lies about everything and manipulates people, and also a man so unhinged he's about to murder somebody in a retail store this week. Those are two different guys. They can't both be Ben. You don't need a law degree to catch that. You need to just be like listening. And this is the point in the tape where an investigation would have started. But instead,
But you're not going to catch it if you're on their side. You're not going to catch it. I understand. I agree with you. But he just coached him. He just gave him a whole coaching session. I'm pretty sure Buddy, he only paying for that in tax dollars. He ain't give him no overtime, no special time. That should at least been time and a half all that work my man's was putting in.
get a recap. I kind of want to be fair to the officers here, so let me give them their best defense because they have one and maybe it deserves to be said out loud, but not really. Police are allowed to listen to complainants. Listening is part of their job. An officer who interrogates every victim who walks in the door is a bad officer. Taking a statement is not misconduct, and nobody should pretend otherwise. I'm not pretending. Here's why that defense dies on this tape. Because collecting a statement and adopting a statement are two entirely different acts. An investigator collects a claim and then goes and tests it. Corroboration, records, timeline, witnesses. That's not an optional courtesy. That's the entire function. Probable cause is supposed to be built out of facts an officer has some reasonable basis to credit, not out of the volume and confidence of the person doing the complaining. And on this tape, every accusation gets added to the pile and none of them get tested. But
Well, they're probably taking it as fact because when you think back, remember they were laughing and joking about how they already knew him and they went out and had a good old time with him. So that's my good old pal that's not gonna lie about it.
the conversation, Ben is no
This is
longer a guy
ridiculous.
who was arrested yesterday and released by a judge. He's been upgraded with no evidence introduced at any point
You like some criminal that broke out somehow.
to a serial criminal, a public danger, and a man who cannot be reasoned with, a redhead.
And that's why they need the blicky for him.
And then, in the middle of all of that, an officer says it out loud.
We'll stack him until he leaves you guys alone, I guess. You know what I mean? Or they put him in jail, one or the other.
And I want to be very careful and very clear about why that sentence matters, because it's not just ugly, although it is really ugly. It's legally
I was gonna say it sounds like it's illegal. Oblique. That's all, folks. It sounds like it's extra illegal.
significant. That sentence contains no facts. It contains no offense, no element, no date, no conduct, no victim. There's nothing in it about what Ben did. It's entirely about what the officers intend to accomplish, and it names two acceptable outcomes. Ben leaves or Ben is incarcerated. I mean, that sounds like the Wild West. And yes, officers can absolutely charge multiple offenses when multiple offenses have been committed.
I said John Wayne.
Monday and stalking Tuesday, well, they're two crimes and nobody's asking law enforcement to ignore the second one. So let me give these dirty cops the innocent reading in its strongest form. Maybe he meant, if this guy keeps breaking the law, we'll keep enforcing it. Clumsy phrasing, benign intent, casual conversation, bad luck that the camera was on. Now watch that reading fall apart because it cannot survive its own context. The innocent version requires the charges to be the consequence of Ben's future conduct. But on this tape, the charges are the instrument and Ben's departure is the goal. Until he leaves you guys alone is not a description of law enforcement. It's a description of Ammon's desired result. And
It sounds like a description of personal security with a badge. It sounds like something illegal. We've been saying that a lot.
is how you get there. He did not say we'll charge him if he commits crimes. He said we'll stack him until he's gone. And that distinction is the ball game, because charging a person to make him go away rather than because the evidence supports the charge is the definition of pretext. It is the thing that every retaliatory arrest and abuse of process doctrine in this country exists to catch. Which brings me to the part of this tape which should make this department very, very uncomfortable. Under Nieves versus Bartlett, if you want to sue over a retaliatory arrest, the existence of probable cause will use
th- these are the same types of cops that would probably say, we'll settle it in court then.
Actually sink your claim before you reach a jury, no matter how obvious the officer's motive was. And that rule exists precisely because motive is nearly impossible to prove, and the cops know this. And that's why we had probable cause is the end of most of these conversations. And these officers went ahead and put the motive on tape anyway. I mean, chef's kiss for the stupidity. And then Ammon asked a different kind of question.
Again, like, do I, and I'm kind of asking a serious question. In your opinion, would you go get a shotgun and bring it in the store?
And the way he asked it is not the way somebody asks about firearms.
For the Blakowski. He said, should I go get the Mike Lazowski for the shoppy? Just in case this crazy man who already escaped jail comes back over here. He's a menace. A menace.
It's the way somebody asks for permission to shoot somebody. He's not looking for a statute. He's looking for like a blessing.
The cops told me to.
I personally encourage people who are
The cops
able
told
to
me
carry
to.
legally to carry.
And look, standing alone, that sentence is fine. It is accurate. A lawful carrier can lawfully carry, and an officer who says so has not done anything wrong. If you had clipped that 10 seconds and posted it by itself, there would be no video here. But nothing on this tape stands alone, and the officers built the context for themselves. For the several minutes immediately preceding that exchange, these officers absorbed, without a single verifying question, a portrait of Ben as violent, unstable, homicidal. They never tested it. They never even sourced it. And then, sitting inside that unverified portrait, they encouraged the man who authored it to introduce firearms into his next encounter with Ben. Think about the position that puts Ben in. He was released by a judge. He's been convicted of nothing. And the police have now helped install the belief in the mind of the person most hostile to Ben that Ben is the kind of threat you meet with a shotgun. Look, that is not neutral. That's
safety. That's safety. He needed it for his safety. And the Leos there are making sure that Ben is safe and the other dude, and that's safety, I guess. This is ridiculous.
Whatever anyone intended, the department stopped assessing whether Ben was dangerous and started helping build the case that he was dangerous, and then armed Bricks and Minifigs for it. And the allegations keep escalating past anything resembling relevance. At one point, Ammon moves off Ben's conduct entirely and starts speculating about Ben's childhood and about a family member's supposed criminal history, offering it up as an explanation for the kind of person that Ben must be. And I'm not going to repeat the specifics, and I'll tell you exactly why. Ben went and ran it down, and it turns out it was a different person entirely who happens to share a name. It was wrong. And I'm not interested in laundering a false accusation about somebody who has nothing to do with any of this just because it made it into a police body cam recording, which is precisely the point. That claim was checkable. Ben checked it, a civilian with a camera checked it, and it fell apart in about the time it takes to run a search. There were officers in that room with databases and a legal obligation to care about things that are true. But nobody hit the brakes, not once on the entire tape. So put the timeline together. A judge orders a man released. The complainant calls police to ask why that happened. And instead of being told that the answer is no, he gets helped. He unloads a dozen serious allegations, and not one of them is tested. An officer describes the objective as stacking charges until the man leaves or goes to jail. The complainant asks about a shotgun, and he's encouraged. And a claim that took one civilian, one search to disprove, sits on the recording untouched. These officers did not stop being investigators because they were corrupt. They stopped because they were captured. Somewhere in the conversation, the department quit functioning as a neutral arm of the state, and they started functioning as Ammon's contractor, but with the same tools, same authority, same badge, pointed wherever the client, Ammon, pointed them. And that's actually worse than being a dirty cop, not better. Because a dirty cop is one person, and this was a room full of people who thought that this was like normal. The whole system runs on one premise, that police test a complainant's story just as hard as they test a suspect's. If you take that away, you don't have law enforcement anymore. You have muscle for hire with the records department. And the moment the officers pick a side, they lose the only asset that they actually have. Not the case, the trust. Okay, what do you think about the new information in Ben's video? Did this body cam expose a police department that had already made up its mind? I mean, I can't believe I'm asking you that. The answer is yes.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with him. Um, it wasn't just this video. That America Fork has a bunch of different. Like I've already said, I've seen 4 or 5 different videos of them violating people's rights. It's like I was gonna say it's like they don't know they have the body camera on. This guy obviously I don't think he knew it was running, or maybe he did and he still said it. But if he did or if he didn't, I mean, not if he did or if he didn't. If they do know it's running and they just don't, it's like they don't care. And it's crazy. You're supposed to be there anytime you want me to do something that's for my safety, but when you actually come up, you'll violate my rights. You'll kick me in the face. You'll come knock at my door. You'll in the middle of the night, scaring my family. Like it's nothing about making me feel safe or comfortable. It's always you just being tyrannical. And that's the kind of impression I've gotten so far from the videos I've seen concerning American Fork. So, um, give America's Attorney a sub if you want to continue to see this Reckless Ben update. Um, like my video, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and send this video to your cousin.